Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Old Golden Chat Transfer Deadline Day special. I'm going to apologise now in advance for anyone that watches and listens to this. We are filming, and I am on the way to work in literally half an hour's time. So I'm going to be through half the podcast, and then the lovely Nat and Liam will take over for me and let you know once we've actually made some signings by the looks of it on deadline day. But I think we should probably roll back to last Saturday where we played Bournemouth. 2-0 loss, boys. Not the greatest. I think we'll fly through this because there's loads to talk about today. Liam, first of all, what do you think about the Bournemouth game, mate?
A little bit gutted, a little bit disappointed. We should have got something out of the game. We had some clear chances with Tolu. Arsenal had a big chance. You can't miss those chances in the Premier League. You've got to put them away. It was the first game where I was just a bit gutted with Andre and Joe Gomez. I think I needed a bit more from them on the ball, and I think it really showed in that game. And I think we just missed some wingers, in my opinion. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, to be honest, there was a lot of positives for the first 30 minutes of the game. I thought we absolutely battered them for the first 30. And then in Wolves fashion, Andre can't play a 5-yard pass. Hwang hasn't done enough to receive the ball. The ball's ping-ponged around. Junior Krupi's shot from, 25 yards out. Screamer of a shot. And we go 1-0 down. And from there, it's like the whole story of the season, to be honest. We're 1-0 down. We can't control the game. Passes are just going astray. And we just look devoid of confidence again, which is a shame because I thought we built up some really decent form. Just on the eve of January, and I thought we'd done quite well. I think Man City was a bit of a soccer blow, should I say. And bit of a shame, to be honest. Just a hard game to talk about in general. For anyone who dates Football Manager, Ryan looked a superstar, didn't he, boys? Got to give it to him, man. Go on, Nat, take the floor.
Yeah, I thought we started really well. First 10 minutes, 15 minutes looked really lively. Settled into the game, sort of pinned Bournemouth in, and it just looked as though had we have scored first, I feel like we'd been talking about a completely different game.
Yeah.
Unlucky not to, obviously, the offside of Molineux. We just started with a real purpose, and it was good to see, and then just started to kind of lose control, as you said, and get sloppy. And, I mean, even then, Bournemouth didn't look convincing, but they just took sort of 15 minutes and they were growing, and you could almost see it coming. Andre massively off the boil for me. It's crazy how I think if you would rewind sort of it to the back end of last season, you're looking at probably the best passer of the ball in the Wolves team. And yet on Saturday, he looked like the worst. He looked like a Marshall Monetzi or Hwang Chan on the ball. I've never saw Andre look so uncomposed, and it's his bread and butter. Do you know what I mean? I've been on the pod previously and spoke about how if you'd want anyone in the team to progress the ball from deep, it's him. And he had an off day, and yeah. And then I think going into the second half, again, I thought we were the better team in the second half. Bournemouth scored their second goal sort of because we were chucking players up at that point. We had a number of chances. Tolu probably should have had a brace. I know some people are saying hat-trick, but I thought his performance was really, really pleasing up until the point where he needs to score a goal. His hold-up play was good. He won a lot of battles against centre-halves. Ran the channels quite well. He just needed a goal, and you're looking at it, he had the header off the corner. He had the one where I don't even think he knew what he was doing in the box. It just seemed to stand still for him. And he got his shot away, and he's absolutely, I don't even know where he sent him out to space, I think. And then you look at Strand Larsen, and I thought the Strand Larsen chance at the time when I was in the South Bank, because it's solid, I thought it was one of those where the angle was against him, and it weren't until I got home and saw, obviously, the highlight again, and I'm thinking, he has to at least hit the target, if not score. So, yeah, I just think, like Liam said, we lack wingers, didn't really get too much into the box, didn't really look like we were going to go and run at them and cause them too many problems. Yeah, Mane looks tired. Just one of those where we didn't capitalise and then we got punished. Typical Wolves. And the thing is, you look at that game as well, and it's like, I saw that game against Brentford. I saw that game against Nottingham Forest. And there's been 3-4 times where I've watched us play, be the better team, and just not have the quality to go and kill a game. And that's what.
Yeah.
ultimately why we're in the position we're in, right?
Yeah. I think I want to pull it back to Liam as well, because obviously I'll stand next to Liam at the game. And whether it was reactionary or not, you was absolutely fuming with the game, weren't you, Liam? I know you got a lot to say about the midfield and
Yeah.
in particular Tolu's shots. Do you want to take the floor with that one, mate?
Yeah, I was just, it's one of them, isn't it, where you turn up and you're like, oh yes, Bournemouth, I'm gonna get something out of it, and then I just felt so deflated, like just bored of watching us get that ball to Hugo on the left, and it just doesn't end up anywhere. And the amount of times that we have possession and it leads all the our possession in near around our box or in our final third, and the ball ends up at Jose Sarr's feet, and then it's just kicked long or out of play. And I'm like, how can that ball go? But if it goes back there to start again, fair enough, because you're recycling it again and you're going again. But we don't. It just gets booted out, and I'm just like, we need some. I don't know what piece of quality we need, but we're just lacking in near enough those main areas that you need to create. And like you say, Andre and Joe Gomez just couldn't make a pass further than 5 yards to feet. And we both bigged up both these players. Maybe if they're out of form, maybe they just need to drop them. They've got no one to switch with. And two, maybe they just need someone who they can just give that ball to, because last year one of them had given the ball to Nuvi or Cunha and they'd get us out of trouble. You know, we haven't got that this year, have we? And when Mane first came into the team, he looked like that guy. But now it looks like teams are just sticking one or two men on him every time we have the ball, because they know that's the only way out. And yeah, with Tolly, like Nat said, that with that chance where we just didn't know what to do, you expect your striker there. Your striker's got to be finishing those, or at least hitting the target and make the keeper pull off a worldie. I think Tolly's hold-up play is brilliant when he can get that ball to feet, or he uses his chest to get it down. And if Mane or someone's close to him, I think he does well. I think when he went out wide and he had the ball to his feet, you could just tell that really weren't his game. Maybe he was doing that just because he might be getting frustrated with the service that he was getting. I don't really want to see him out there as much. But yeah, I just think I needed more.
I think the problem is, and I've said it a lot with our boys in the Jets, tactically for me now, and I've said it multiple times before, I think that the four at the back is probably the way to go. Obviously, we don't have wingers at the minute, which is the problem. Shame it's not like a January transfer deadline day or something where we could probably go and get a couple of wingers in. But, I think the problem is, like you said, I'm bored of it. I've been bored of it for years. And I think it just, when we pass back to the goalkeeper and we recycle play and we make sure that we're controlling the game, I like controlling the game. I like the tactical fluidity that we play with, but there has to be a point where we have to progress as a football club now, because at the moment, I think the whole reason why we're in such a mess that we're in is because of this stagnant formation. And I think, look, it is something as small as a formation. Our whole club's identity is formed around this way and this style of playing. And to progress, I think we need to progress, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. We need to find a change. We need to be able to look. It's basically confirmed we're going down. Let's try and be brave. Look, it doesn't matter whether we lose 10-0 now. Like, or the fans ain't going to be happy. But I don't see the point in playing the five at the back now, apart from the fact that we haven't got the players to play the four at the back. But this is where the January window should have been utilised in prepping, almost like a pre-season for next season for me. But I don't know what you boys think about that. We'll have a little chat about that and then the future of Wolves in a short moment.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was how slow we were to progress the ball when we won it. That was the thing for me. And I think you look at other teams, you look at Bournemouth, they got the ball, they had players occupying the forward areas, they could go and break on us quite quickly. How many times did we win the ball back and the only person up there is Toller and there's no one around him?
Agreed.
Literally no one around him. I don't know if you recall the chance where he shot from just outside the box and Petrovic has sort of palmed it and then gathered it on the second attempt. There was nobody with him. Absolutely, and no runners running past him. Every single player was behind the ball. And I think you talk about, yes, we've been sort of stuck with the same sort of formation. The style has got worse in the sense of we now have more possession, but we don't sort of excite as much. Under Nuno, listen, towards the end, I hated it. I'm not going to lie, I thought the football was dreadful. Worse than what it is now. at the start with Nuno, it was an exciting five at the back. It was a direct style of play when we won the ball. We counter-attacked really quickly. We don't do that now. And that's where you see teams find it so easy to play against us. Because yes, we have more of the ball, but we're playing in front of teams. It's easier for teams to defend. They're quicker, they're able to get back into shape. And that's frustrating. However, what I will say on the flip side, I don't think Rob Edwards' tactics on Saturday was the reason we lost the game. The reason we lost the game was we couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, and it's that simple. Listen, when he needs to be called out, and when I think we've played poorly, when I think he's got it wrong, like with the team selection at Man City, 100% I'll be the first to say. But Saturday was a case of we lacked quality and didn't do our job more so than it was Rob got it wrong or tactically we were poor. But yeah, I just hope that when we get relegated, that we do change and we become a team that's exciting to watch and a team that plays with quality and pace and wants to go and get at people. I struggle to see a player that wants to go 1v1.
I want to be on the front foot in games, I do. I can't wait.
I just want the ball to be going to forward players, wingers, and them driving at fullbacks. And listen, I know football in general has kind of moved away from that, and wingers seem to struggle because it's all now a percentage game, and managers want to control as much as they can, and it's very much robotic, and that's made it a lot more boring. But it's like there needs to be something. And if you're a team playing with confidence, that should still be apparent, and you should still see it. Look at Bournemouth's second goal. You touched on Ryan a little bit. Like he's gone and drove at a player, and then because he's got to the goal line, he's able to cut the ball back. We don't really have that. That's just what I want to see. I want to see a bit of pace going forward, and I want to see players wanting to go and attack, and not just attack 1v1, but attack spaces as well. Go and help Tolly out. Go and fill the box when we're getting balls in instead of just crossing it into one player. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, who knows? All this could sort of change with hopefully some transfers that might happen whilst we're on air, might happen whilst you're on air, boys, because I probably don't think that I'll be here for it. Obviously, I've only got another 10 or so minutes left. But I think it's the ideal time to move on to Wolves' actual future. Obviously, the Wolves fan groups had a meeting with Nathan Shee and some other members of staff. Obviously, we weren't involved. We're not at that kind of stage of being able to be involved in that kind of stuff at all yet. I mean, we'll probably go back and forth on this. Sutty, who was there, I know he watches the videos, the podcast quite a bit as well, so shout out to Sutty for going and making your voice heard as well, to be honest, because I think from listening to the Talking Wolves podcast the other day, it sounded like he was kind of a big presence within there and talking about Wolves of past even before we was probably going to the games and the future of Wolverhampton. There was obviously a lot that was said, but I think the main prerogative that I took away from Nathan Shee's comments were that obviously they couldn't say that we're relegated yet because they are the owners of the football club, and until it's mathematically confirmed, they obviously want to be in the league. But in 18 months' time, their sole goal is to be in the Premier League. They've talked about spending whatever it takes to make sure that we're a Premier League team, investing heavily to make sure that we're a Premier League team. They were talking about the actual future of the football club. It's all words. It's all broken promises from the past. I think we need to dive into a little bit of what the future holds for Wolves. Obviously, the first things first, like I say, boys, is they want to be in the Premier League in 18 months' time. Liam, what do you think they need to do to make that a reality?
I think they've missed a trick not setting us up a little bit more for pre-season with this January window. I think it was perfect timing to get us on that front foot. I think that we need to go back again to the basics. Like you said, look at the formation. When we get players in that, we're not going to go out and get the next, Diogo's and Ruben Neves. That's not going to work in the Championship, but you need, rather than just having one set dialogue with what transfer policy you're going to have, I think you need a bit of a mixture. You don't see a team full of youngsters come through. You don't see a team full of old players come up. You need a mix and a blend, don't you, with how you can get up there. And I think in the Championship, you just have to, you score more goals than the other team. 9 times out of 10, them teams are around the playoff area. So I think that the winger positions, especially, we need to get that sorted out. We need to get the fans back on board as well. Like, how many fans have we lost since we first came up? due to pricing, etc. Yeah, you need to get those hands back, look after those hands, and make those hands at the forefront again, and make us feel valued rather than feeling like we've fallen out with the club and we just go because we feel like we need to go. What about you? What do you think?
I think the ticketing pricing is something that obviously needs sorting out. I think that was another thing for a long time. I've just got all the notes up on my phone here, but that is something that was talked about. But obviously, until relegation's confirmed, and until I think Nathan Shee mentioned he needs to speak to the ticketing office and talk to the people around him to figure out prices. I think it's one of those where if we get relegated, they've got a massive, massive chance to rebuild some structure with the fans and rebuild some
Camaraderie.
because they can knock a couple of £100 potentially off ticket prices, and that's something that probably would need to happen anyway in the Championship. You have to pay for the quality that is on show, and without going too much into the transfers, when you're losing up to £70 million worth of transfers in January and you're potentially replacing it with £20 billion, there's your difference in players, and we should be paying for what we deserve to be seen, to be honest, which is obviously going to be a Championship team. What do you think, Nat?
Just tired of hearing the same comments and words just in a different manner. I mean, it just seems rinse and repeat. Like I looked at the notes. I listened to Wolves Fancast Twitter space the other day, and I just thought I'm baffled if anyone believes or is enticed into what they're saying. If I'm being totally honest,
I totally agree with that one, Nat.
tell me how you're going to do these things. Like, tell me how we're going to get back to the Premier League in 18 months. Tell me, like, yes or no, definitively that we're going to get a decrease. They didn't come out and say what you're not going to charge the same prices that you're charging now in the Championship. So come out and say we're going to decrease ticket prices.
Yeah.
I just don't have any faith in them at all at the moment. And again, you look at this transfer window. On one hand, I think I understand why they haven't gone gung ho and bought loads of players in, but to be sitting in the transfer window, having taken out Fer Lopez, Marshall Venezia, Jurgen Strand Larsen, Keanu Hoover, tell me if I'm missing anyone else, Chirewa, and then and potentially Agbadu, and your replacements are Adam Armstrong and Angel Gomez. And it's like rewind to when Nathan Shee did his interview and he said that his actions are going to match his words. I saw nothing, and I have no faith in them to get it right. I look at the players that we're targeting, and it's like I understand that we're not going to recruit the top players. Like, on one hand, I'm chuffed with Angel Gomez. Should he come in? Should it be confirmed? If you can go and get him, that's where your bar should be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If he's willing to join, then other players of that ilk or slightly below should be being looked at. And you go from one end of the spectrum with him to, no disrespect, Adam Armstrong. My worry is they'll go out, they'll spend a lot of money, there'll be no resale value. And when we got promoted, we'd be like a Burnley. And I don't want that. You've shown the DNA of we can go and attract players in the Championship. You tell us that we're restructuring and we're going to have this plan to get back in the Premier League. Sell the project then. Sell the project like we did when we first came up. And okay, that wasn't overnight and we drip fed players in over a couple of years. Like Romain Says came in earlier and so on before we signed like your Neves and your Jotas. What's stopping that? Because it's the same owner. Okay, it's a new director in Nathan Shee, but it's the same owner who apparently has got the same passion, who doesn't want to sell the club. So if you don't want to sell the club, sell the project. You want to get people back on board. You say that you judge us on our actions. Change your actions, because the way I see it is it's insanity. You're doing the same things over and over and over again. So I will sort of hold off fully on my judgment until the summer transfer window and see where we're at. But I think how we have just completely stopped all of the protests, how we've just sat back and allowed this to happen, how we've sent like 8 people to a fan forum and saw this positive or so-called positive news and ran with it, is baffling. And I tell you what really annoys me as well, sorry, just on a tangent. You look at the names on the notes and you're seeing the people that are representing us, and I see Dazzling Dave. Like, no disrespect to the man, but how is your name in there? Dazzling Dave. Like, he's been used as a meme for Jurgen Strand Larsen. Like, just sums up where we are as a football club. Like, I'm not disrespecting his support for the club, but Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've been going through it whilst Nat spoke really passionately there. No, I kind of agree with everything that he said. I think the future can't just be future proof in 18 months. It obviously has to be for the next 5 years. It should be planned as a 5-year plan, and then what after 5 years? Because I don't want to be of your ilks, of your Norwiches, your West Broms, your Burnleys, your Stokes when they were in the league. Like, I don't want to be in that kind of vein. I want to be. I'm not saying we have to fight for Europe every single year. I'd love that to be the case, but that costs a lot of money, and a lot of money that Fosun have obviously showed over the years that they're not willing to spend. So for me, it has to be looking into how do we invest the players of what we're going to have at the end of the season, because there's not going to be a massive fire sale. There's not. There's going to be important players gone. And it'll be really interesting in January to see which player in June, sorry, to see which players are the first ones to go. But we won't lose everybody. We won't lose 20 players in this squad and do what Forest did and just loan everybody and then come back in the league and then splash 150 mil. That's not the way that will work. There's going to be players here, and I would argue it's probably going to be your likes of your Jackson Tatuas, which obviously nobody wants. Potentially Rodrigo Gomez is your. If we manage to keep him, your Mane's, your Bueno/Wolves, possibly Mosquera. I think as much as what we've all clamoured for Mosquera and we love him, I do think he might be someone that a team will take a punt on him. Someone would take a 25 mil punt on him, and I think they'll reap the rewards of a player who's charismatic at the best of times, but at the same time, will probably put in a good 7 out of 10 performance most weeks, and which is defensive stability.
Today was a bad day already with only 2 potential incomings, and then you've just said that and you've ruined my day now.
Sorry, mate.
So
Sorry, mate.
thanks
Just before I have to leave as well. I know I'm good
I'm
at
going to start taking the Mosquera posters down at my room already, just in preparation.
Yeah, so obviously other stuff, I'll just quickly tick over them for you. The leadership and structure. Everything that Nathan does goes back directly to Guo rather than to Jeff Shee. He has absolutely no involvement with the club. Again, obviously we don't know that. That's all word of mouth, but that is what is the message that is coming out of the club. And let's hope that is honest, because nobody needs that arsehole anywhere near the club. The January window was focused on protecting the club's value. It was avoiding short-term player sales that could weaken the club's summer position, and the club have been described as pretty active behind the scenes despite appearing publicly quiet. There's been an emphasis on greater honesty and stability, moving away from a culture of covering for each other. Again, that's something that's yet to be seen, and only time will tell with that one. I'll let you boys discuss this in a moment. I'll kind of read and pass through them. Direct conversations have been held with staff and players about visions and expectations moving forward, and a desire for clarity on the club's direction and development pathways. There's a commitment to the club to hold a fan forum with up to 200 supporters in attendance. If that is the case, one of us three will absolutely try our hardest to get to that as well. We want to be involved in this as much as anybody, because there is obviously stuff that needs to be spoke about with regards to the club and the way the club's being run at the minute. So that's something that one of us three would absolutely bite your hands off to be able to go. Confirmation that esports operates as a separate entity, which is obviously the thing that Jeff Shee now runs as well. Who knows? Who knows? There are no explicit guarantees of pricing or figures were provided, which we've already spoke about. The club accepted that supporter consultation needs to take place earlier in a more meaningful way. Supporter groups made strong representations that ticket pricing should be reflected on the pitch, and that will obviously change within the league status. So yeah, there's a lot to digest with it, to be honest, but I'll let you two go on about it in a minute, about everything within the actual statements that have been made. But like I say, for me personally, before I leave you, there's a lot of good things being said, and there's a lot of good things with heart, and you can, from what the Talking Wolves boys and the Old Gold Pack boys were saying on the Talking Wolves podcast, everything was more emotional and everything was a bit more sympathetic towards the fans. And they were saying it did actually come quite genuine and heartfelt from Nathan. And he does seem to say that he wants to be a success at the club. And again, we'll reiterate it. Time will tell. I'm not going to sit here and be positive because there's not a lot to be positive about at the minute. Nat's already been shaking his head because there is nothing positive at the moment in time. I'll hold off judgment again, like you've already said, until the start of next year. If you really want the fans on side, Fosun, if you really want Molineux to get back to what it was when that championship season, the first few Premier League seasons, the talking needs to stop and the actions need to start. January's gonna miss. 2 signings potentially being in. We've missed out on Che Adams. Nobody even wants Che Adams. Let's be perfectly honest.
Armstrong's just been announced. Sorry to interrupt you.
Have we got? Oh my God, we've actually got a signing line right there. I'd say, yeah, this is what I mean. Adam Armstrong is our peripheral signing, along with Angel Gomez potentially, as long as that one gets announced. Fosun, do better because we deserve better. We've been going through the ringer for the last 5 years as fans. We've been paying extra money, and slowly but surely, everybody's passion and enthusiasm for Wolves has slowly been dying. Rebuild the bridges, or there will be protests, and we will absolutely help with any protests that need to be made. Boys, thank you very much for having me. Whilst I've been here, I'm going to have to shoot. Right, everyone, thank you very much for listening to the Old Golden Chat. We're not finished. I'm just going to work, and I'm going to leave you with the two boys who are going to entertain the lights out of you. Adam Armstrong is officially a Wolves player. Best believe it. I believe his first words in a Wolves shirt were "fuck the Albion." So, on your way, boys. See you later.
See you. I'm happy to fly through it, mate.
Yes, Strand Larsen signing for Crystal Palace today. Hit or miss, weren't it, at times, whether it was going to happen or not, with Mateta pulling out of AC Milan, signing Mateta. Larsen is divided opinion a lot, hasn't he, this season? But I think we're all in agree that I think it was the right move. We can't be turning down that much money for a striker that, let's face it, in the summer is probably you're pushing for 20 million. At max, aren't we, for him? And I think it just didn't seem right, did it, the atmosphere of when he was coming onto the pitch and being booed on and stuff like that. I think it was just time for him to go. What do you think, Nat?
Yeah, I think like you say, I think I probably would have took the money for him in the summer, if I'm totally honest. It was too good to be true back then. But to now, fast forward, 4 or 5 months, and for us to be looking at a striker with 1 Premier League goal and still getting 48 million, I think that's, to be fair, it does tick the box of what they were saying in their sort of meeting with the fans of they're not going to just sell for the sake of selling, and they're gonna hold value. So at least on that one, credit where it's due, they've managed to do that, and we've got a really good fee for somebody that I think, with a fresh challenge, potentially could hit the heights that he had with us last season. But only time will tell, won't it? I think for us, he needed to go. There was a few times where I think, like Man United away, and again on Saturday, he's getting booed onto the pitch, and it just doesn't help. It just really doesn't help. And I'm not one to support him because I think at times he's not done himself any justice on the pitch this season with his performances. But you can't be sort of giving a player that reception and then expecting him to have an impact on the pitch. So yeah. I suppose I'm just a little bit disappointed of the calibre of replacement, if I'm honest. And again, I understand the rationale of we're going to be a championship team next season. But again, I think people are getting caught up in the fact that Armstrong's got some really good numbers. They've not been great recently. He's in his last sort of 3 seasons, his numbers have been poor. So again, we're yet to see what he'll produce, which Adam Armstrong will get. Will we get the world beater that chucks goals in left, right, and centre, or will we get an Adam Armstrong that kind of continues in the vein of form that he's been in, which isn't a positive one. So yeah, mixed emotions, but I think you probably would have been looking at it in the summer and getting a slightly reduced fee because of our championship status. So yeah, right decision for me.
Do you think that Strand Larsen will do well at Crystal Palace? Do you think he'll start over Mateta if he doesn't go?
Well, Mateta's got, apparently to comment, Mateta needs knee surgery.
Yeah.
So that's why he didn't go Milan, and that's why Strand Larsen's still gone to Palace. So I think he'll get game time. I think they're probably looking at it in the sense of he's got some creators around him. So I do think I think once he gets one, I think he'll start scoring, and I think he'll get chances in that team. I think one of the biggest reasons as well that, along with his own personal performances, that that he's not sort of kicked on this season was because what has he got around him to create him chances? He's not got a fat lot. He's not got a lot of service going into the box. We don't have the players that are in positive forward areas because we don't play wingers, and we've not got the 210s that we were playing last year to go and slide balls into him, because his movement's probably his best attribute in my opinion. So it's like he fed off crosses into the box. He was good at attacking the ball in the box. He couldn't attack a ball when he's backs to goal from a goal kick, for example, but he's not had that kind of service going into him. He's not had the slides through to him to put him cutting through on goal like he did against Shrewsbury. If he's getting the chances, and I do think that he'll take them, and I think a new fan base is exactly what he needs, because let's face it, I think any human being that is getting the reception that he's getting week in, week out, he isn't going to perform in a Wolves shirt. So I do think he'll come good. We've real hit the heights of what he did with us straight away. I'm not sure. I feel like it might be a case of he might get, I don't know, 4 or 5 goals towards the back end of this season, and then he'll have a good crack at it next season with them. But listen, I think it's not our concern anymore, is it? As long as he don't score against us in the away fixture, I couldn't care less now. I wish him all the best, but I can't really say I've got too much. I've not got too much emotion attached to him going or staying. He wasn't really with us long enough, and the way that he went about it in the summer kind of left a real sour taste in my mouth. If you didn't want to be here, don't sign the contract. Simple as. So yeah.
Should we move on to the 2 targets, that strikers that we were linked to, and then talk about the one we signed?
Yeah. Can do.
Adams first. Torino,
Okay.
in a poor team really this season, aren't they? Like, they're not pulling the heights that they used to. He's done okay there, but it hasn't proven to me that I'd want him as my striker leading the line in the back end of this season or in the Championship. I do think he is a bit of a target man, number 9, if he has the chances there, but he's another one that he's waiting on those chances to come to him, isn't he? What do you think about Che Adams?
Yeah, it's funny because I do watch a lot of Serie A, and sort of last season he was really crucial. He popped up with, I think he scored 9 goals in Serie A last season, 9 or 10 goals. Yeah, he popped up with quite a few crucial goals for them, and I think dropping down into the Championship where games are a bit more open will probably suit him again. He's one of those where he's too good for that league, but probably not good enough for the top league. But saying that, I think I would rather have him than Adam Armstrong, just in the sense of, I feel like, 1, he's had really good experience within English leagues, but 2, he's coming off a spell in a top flight where he's playing for a fairly poor team. Not a lot of. It's funny because I probably liken them to Wolves a little bit, in the sense of they sell a lot of their best players and they don't replace them with the same quality. So Torino's squad has been getting weaker and weaker every single season. Their fan base is very, very much like the Wolves fan base. They've had quite a lot of protests against the owner, etc., etc. So I feel like he would come in and he'd do a really good job for us in the Championship. But it's just a case of he's not going to replicate that in the Premier League, and he'll be subject to like cameo appearances should we go up. But really interesting to see how his game sort of changed from obviously when he first came on the scene, and he was quite a sharp forward, instinctive finisher, scored a lot of goals, to now obviously having to change the way that he plays and play a bit more back to goal, quite a strong forward, aerially not sort of going to win too many headers, and he's not that type of target man, but he's a smaller, stockier player who likes to play back to goal and play on the swivel. So yeah, we'll see. I think obviously he's not going to come in, but I think he'll be one that we'll go and get in the summer.
Yeah,
100%.
Do you want to go back for him?
Yeah, he'll only have 12 months left on his contract. Probably be a lower fee, and I think in the summer it'll give him more time to kind of push for the move as well. I'm not sure how late we sort of touch base with him and with Torino, but yeah, I feel like he's had what two seasons by the time he's come back. I think he'll want to come back and kind of settle his family back down, and yeah.
Adam Armstrong is the one that we chose, and like you said, I think both of those strikers would be in that league bracket of relegation / teams in the Premier League to high-end Championship. If there was a middle league in between, I think both those strikers fit that bill, don't they? Do you think there's a space where Adam Armstrong can have a really good season with us next year? Or,
I think
that question, do you reckon he would be the striker that can lead us back up?
that's a difficult one because he's found himself playing sort of across the front three. So he's been deployed as I think under Mowbray at Blackburn, he actually played off one of the wings,
Yeah.
but he did really well. But Mowbray plays quite a expansive, open type of football. He then, I'm looking at it from a perspective of he was at Saints in a similar situation to what we've got. So right now, I don't expect him to have too much of an impact because he went from the Southampton team on loan to West Brom. And Saints were equally as poor as us when he was there. You'd like to think that should he have a good pre-season and stay fit and be sharp, and we're sort of a proactive team, but a team capable of playing on the transition, that he'll have a bit of success. He's got a bit of pace. He's not slow. He can finish. So yeah, I feel like he could, but I also worry that depending on how he's deployed will massively dictate how he gets on. And I would like to see how many in the seasons that he's really stood out, how many of those were penalty. It always fascinates me.
Yeah, I think I had a quick look, the season where the Saints came back up.
Yeah.
23, 24, I think he may have had 13 assists, but he got into near about 22 goals and about 6 of them were penalties. One of
Yeah.
it was a free kick from what I saw from the highlights. I might be totally wrong, but it was around those numbers. But the only thing I think I liked when I was watching back the highlights were his goals seemed to come from little quick passes that he's going to get alongside Mane, or, the little hold-up play that he gets off Tolu. His goals seem to come a lot from those little type of passes that we can kind of do, but when he ends up going to Wang, he doesn't quite get that ball out of the feet or know what to do, does he? So hopefully that can be a positive, that he can come into that squad and do that. But I was trying to look at some Southampton forums to see what they were reckoning, and their fan base was a little bit split. More so 60% of them were a bit gutted that he left because he still scored a few goals for them this year.
Yeah.
I think a lot of their fan base were saying that he was part of the reason why Will Still had left, because he'd made a comment about some of the players down in tools and he could have been one of them. So I don't think the Southampton fans were too keen on that comment that was made. I don't know if this was made or not. I can't find it, but that's what one of the forums was saying when all the fans were talking. And that struck me as if to say, oh man, that's not good, especially with what's happening or what could be happening with us when we go down. But again, if the fans are a bit gutted about that goal scoring impact going, hopefully that is that signing who's going to get us 15 to 20 goals. And if you're going to get promoted, you do need a striker or an attacking player like that in the Championship, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. And I think the good thing about it is the different profile to what we've got. And like Strand Larsen and Tolu, we're just never going to work because they're quite similar. Neither of them are rapid. Neither of them sort of, they both kind of want the ball to feet. I know Strand Larsen doesn't win a lot in the air, but they want it to feet and then they want to go and attack the box after. We lacked this season, or we have lacked this season, someone to really go and stretch the pitch and run in behind and ask those questions. And I think he'll do that. I just hope that he gets the chances because he has shown that he can finish. I feel like he just needs the right system and to be utilised the right way to go and be successful. I also hope that now that we've signed him, I know I said I'd rather have Che Adams over him, but I don't want them both because I feel like signing one of them is a sensible option because one, it ups the homegrown, and two, gives us somebody that's sort of Championship ready. They've got the know-how. I don't want us, as I touched on earlier, to fall into the category of we build this Championship super team and then we fall apart when we get promoted, or we've got to go and spend another 100 mil to go and compete. We should be, and how we've been over the last 7 or 8 seasons. And this isn't me being like, what's the word, entitled. But we've had a run in the Premier League for so long. We've got a certain reputation. We should still be able to attract players that are slightly above that bracket. You know what I mean? Like the players that can go and perform in the Premier League should we go and get promoted, or go and sign some really exciting prospects from around Europe that might take a couple of months to bed in, but then they're going to go and be, you know what I mean, really exciting and promising. And that's the sort of that's the sort of players that I'd like us to go and try and get in. So I don't want us to go out and just go, well, he's done it in the Championship before, he's done it in the and we just try and go too homegrown, too English, and too Championship based, because that's the sort of vibe that I'm getting from Matt Jackson and the team. And whilst I do think there's some really good English players out there, they've got to be the right ones. If you're telling me, now if we're going to go and sign Hayden Hackney, yeah, no problem, because he could probably step up and still play and perform in the Premier League, and he's an English talent that is right up there in the Championship. And you see other clubs that are in the Premier League try and go in for him. I can't remember who I saw. I think it might have been Forest that have put a bid in for him today, and it got rejected. Yeah, there was someone that bid for him today, but that they're the type of signings. If you're going to go to Championship players that have got experience in the league, go and target those. Because again, I think he'll only have 12 months in the summer. Go and get an Imran Loser. Go and get these players that are performing in the Championship really well now, but look capable of stepping up and have been linked with moves currently to moves to current Premier League teams. For me, anyway.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying there, mate. Should we move on to the next potential signing that could be happening any minute now? Andrew Garman. I'm just shocked that we're signing that player of that calibre. I think he is absolute baller for that position that we need. I'm shocked that we're signing him. I'm hoping he goes through. I can't see a world where he's ready to drop into the Championship, but if and it's a big if he does, man, what a player we've got in our hands. He's like a real good talent, isn't he? And I think he's definitely that type of player that we're missing. You look at what he can bring, and like we said about what Andre at the moment, Joe aren't having with that type of pass, getting the foot on the ball, controlling the games. He brings that in abundance, doesn't he? Makes it look so easy. So for me, that is a massive signing. But I'm just hoping that it's not just for 6 months, because it'd be a little bit pointless. I'm hoping that we can kind of entice him just to 1 year in the Championship, just to sort it out. What do you think? Are you shocked by that signing, or do you think that? What do you think?
Yeah, I am, because it came out of left field. It came out of nowhere. And it's funny because, like, again, it was something that I mentioned in the pod. Like, there's players out there that'll come. We've just got to be smart. I said it on 2 podcasts. Like, go and be creative. Go and try and get people on a loan and let them showcase themselves. And this seems like exactly that. But like I said, it also touches on the standard of where we should be. I'm massively intrigued as to how, again, Rob will deploy him, because I think when he was in the youth system, he was deemed more of a wide player, and then it was kind of unheard of for someone who's 5'7", not a lot of weight behind him, to go and play in a central midfield position, because everyone thought that he'd get physically bullied. But he's the type of player that will get on the ball on the half turn, pick it up in the sort of DM role if he's playing as a 6. And like I said, he'll get it on the half turn, and he'll go and play forward. And the thing that I like about him, and we touched on it a little bit, of things that we didn't do well enough against Bournemouth, he will go and play forward very quickly. He wants to progress the ball, whether he's playing as a 6, an 8, or a 10. He will pick the ball up, and he wants to create things. So I'll be intrigued as to whether he goes and plays alongside Mane in front of Jao, or whether he actually becomes the sort of defensive midfielder that will go and pick the ball up and force the other players to be in forward positions. But when you look at it and you're thinking he was playing for England not long ago, for us to have picked him up in the position that we're in is unheard of. So fair play to whoever it is that scouted him and saw that he was possible. And also, I think the rationale for him was that he's just desperate to come and play football.
Yeah,
And
I thought that as well.
like, he could have stayed at Marseille and got Wolves are sat bottom of the league, so far adrift. I'm going nowhere near it. Like, he's got nothing, but not a lot to gain and a lot to lose. If it's a horror show, he's looking at an even worse sort of position that he's in the summer. So it's like it's a big risk. He could come in and smash at the park, and then he's looking at it and going, "Yeah, I did the right thing," or he carries on and he doesn't perform well, and we go down as one of the worst Premier League teams, if not the worst at this moment in time. It's still possible that it could happen.
Yeah.
and then his stock's at an all-time low. So I must say, not just because I'm a Wolves fan and I want him in, but I take my hat off to someone that just wants to come in and play football. And I think from a Wolves perspective, it'll either be he does really well, he really enjoys his time at the club, he gives us a season, or it'll be he does really well, we sign him and we sell him on. Because how many times has that happened where
Yeah.
a team will buy a player, like the Benicophobe deal, is the one that springs to mind, signed off the back of a loan just to be shipped on for 2 million more. But I think, what is it, a 7 million obligation?
Yeah.
A 7 million euro, sorry. That's an absolute steal. You buy him for that, you could easily be selling him for probably 20, 25 million. So it's an interesting one to see how much he wants to be here and how he gets on, and then what it looks like in the summer. If you keep him, you definitely build around him for me. He'd be absolutely pivotal.
Yeah.
You could build a really strong midfield around him. And like I said, it gives you the option of, do you put him in the 10? Do you put him as an 8? Do you put him as shoulder midfielder? It just allows you to build a team a bit more freely and fluidly.
I'm hoping that it helps bring that better side out of Joe Gomez again, because hopefully he can just do what he is best at, winning that ball back into the faces, making tackles, doing the bit of running that sometimes gets him out of position, because he's always got the other Gomez there and Gal there to give the ball to, because he looks really tied in. And I've said it before, under Rob Edwards, we're quite good at, when we got the ball, doing the little triangles between Wang and Mane and Tyler and linking up. So I think he'll slot in nicely to that and help us get on that turn. I also think that I'm hoping that it helps us push Mane a bit more further forwards, take the bit of the defensive side from him, because if we sat there with the three of Joe, Jan Arias and Gomez, hopefully that allows Mane then to just float out the pitch and go keep tracking back, and he can just be that maverick player that's going to unlock a defence, because he is a really good player, and we've said it before, he's starting to look a little bit tired. I don't want him to be a case where he gets absolutely burned out, because it's got to be a lot for him just to come in and not have a break, because he has to play 90 minutes every week. And with some players that are going out, we need him to have a bit of help in there, don't we?
Yeah, and I think like you say, not just tired physically but mentally. Like, he's come into the team from playing youth football, and it's almost like the fans expect something from him every week now. Like, without him, there's not a lot of creativity. So yeah, I'm hoping that with Andre's form taking dip, he might come back out of the team actually a little bit, and I'll be really interested to see a midfield three of Joe Gomez, Angel Gomez, and Jean-Luc Bellegarde. Personally, I feel like that team would allow you to progress the ball. Bellegarde's probably been our most creative midfielder before he got injured, the one that looks the liveliest. And I know on Saturdays his cameo wasn't the best, but people have got to understand he's just came back. He's not played a lot of football, if any friendlies. He's just trained. He was always going to be rusty, but I feel like you've got some really good profiles in that midfield then.
Yeah.
Joe Gomez will go and fight the fires. He'll go and do the dirty work. And then you've got two players that they're quite similar in the sense of they want to get on the ball, they want to take it on the half turn, that then want to go and play forward. Can both carry it as well. So I feel like with that signing, we'll be a lot more balanced. But I'm interested to see what Rob does, and he's changed it a couple of times, hasn't he? With Mane, Arias, and Gomez, Gomez, Andre, and Mane. And like you said, I think you made a good point. You beat me to it in the sense of, it would allow Mane to go and play in Hwang's position. It would then allow him to not be on the ball so deep. And he's another player that he wants to get on the ball. He wants to carry it. He wants to take it on the half turn. You look at his goal in our only win of the season, and you're just thinking, that bit of magic to just take it on the half turn and then drive and smash it low and hard. There's no reason why, if he's in those positions more often, that you're going to get that less. I know teams are more savvy with how they set up against him, and they know what he's capable of now. But listen, I think the deeper he is, the easier he's hard to kind of get more bodies around. You put him higher up that pitch when he's up against the back line, it's a lot more difficult to have 3 or 4 players on him.
Yeah.
And if they are in that area, it just creates space for other players, doesn't it? I think at the moment in time, he's having to receive the ball so deep, and we don't really have the options around him to support. So I'm hoping something as simple as the Angel Gomez signing can open a lot of different doors and avenues, and hopefully give us a bit of positivity going forward.
Yeah. And I think Angel Gomez will be able to receive that ball, enticing players to come towards him in tight areas. And then again, that might allow space for the likes of Mane and John Arias to have a bit more of a further yard, because he does seem to struggle sometimes when the game's a bit tight. So yeah, hopefully we get that a done deal. It worries me sometimes when it don't happen straight away, and I haven't nothing to come on my phone yet to say it's 100% gone through, but yeah, hopefully it does.
Maybe Adam Armstrong beat him in a game of rock, paper, scissors, so he was involved first, mate. Who knows?
Will we beat Derby's record? If I was to look at it, when we went on that bit of a run, we beat West Ham, I'd thinking, yeah, we've got this. We've got the January window now to shape our team, get a few players out that we think are going to be moving. I was thinking that our squad, number-wise, would be a little bit stronger. That's not the case now, and after watching Saturday, I've not got doubts that we won't do it, because I do think we will, but I think it'll be a harder task to do with that. I think it hinges around Angel Gomez coming in. I think if he comes in and it allows...
Just been announced, mate.
Man.
Just been
Have we?
announced. Yeah.
Get in. What a signing that is.
Yeah, just came through on the Oxford feed, mate, so that one's done and dusted. We're not looking silly on the podcast now.
What an absolute signing. Mate, yeah, we're going to beat Derby's record now. Now we've signed in, I think we'll beat it now. Surely we have that player in there that's got that pure quality. And like on Saturday, we missed someone just to switch play super quick. Like, it was so easy to mark against. You switch to that play and you got Rodrigo, who's desperate to bomb on there down that side. It's perfect to help us form our shape. And so, yeah, I think now I'm looking a bit more positive, but I think it hinges around as well. Like, the games that we've got coming up at home, we've got to make sure our home form keeps tight a little bit. We don't want to keep losing at home. We've got to build that for next year. We've signed Armstrong in there. We need him to do well and be firing, ready for the summer. If he has a bit of a drab end to the season, that's not what you're going to need for your kind of maverick goal scorer to start the championship, is it? What do you think?
Yeah, I think even Saturday, I thought we played well enough to warrant a result, at least a result, if not a win. And I think performances over the last few weeks, bar Man City, I thought we dropped off a little bit. Haven't been too bad, and there's been a few games that we've gone into it, and I was thinking we could have beat those on another day with a little bit more quality, or Saturday, for example, if we took our chances. So, listen, I think we'll beat their points tally. I'm not sure how many points we'll end up on. I would hate to say, oh yeah, we're going to go and win, I don't know, 7 or 8. I don't think that's realistic. I think we'll pick up
Do you
some
think we'll
draws.
do it, but they'll give us a bit of a sweat doing it? Or do you reckon we'll be calm about
Well,
it? And we'll get it?
what's their tally? Their tally's 11, right, Derby, and we're on 8 now. So that's 1 win.
Yeah, shut me. Villa.
I think we should. I'd like to think we'd finish on mid 20 points. I'd like to think in and around that. You're talking what, 12 points takes us up to 20. That's 4 wins. You'd like to think you'd pick up 3 or 4 wins towards the end of the season, plus a few draws. But would I ever have predicted us to be on 8 points at this stage in the season? I wouldn't have. So what do I know? But yeah, I do feel we'll glide past Derby's points tally. But yeah, I don't know. I almost feel a bit deflated at the results Saturday, and I don't know why, because I'm resigned to the fact that we're championship anyway. But it's just the hope of competing and being there, but not quite there, that kills you, because you're looking at it and you just think there's teams in this league above us that aren't great. Like, I'm looking at the Burnley team thinking we should finish above them. Performances recently, we should have picked up probably more points than we've got. We should be looking at them and trying to finish second bottom instead of bottom, for example. But we just seem to be typical Wolves over the last few seasons, just gifting goals. So the positive side to me says we finished second bottom and Burnley finished below us. But you have to be realistic and also understand that this is a Wolves team that are just, one, unpredictable, but two, predictable, because we lose most weeks. We will put in a good performance every now and then, and it gives you a bit of something. Yeah, we'll see.
Do you think that hinges on Mane to get us over the line? Or do you think a slight injury or out of form Mane makes us struggle a little bit? Or do you reckon we've got a bit more quality in the squad to kind of help him keep up his level?
I don't think it hinges on him. I feel like really looking at it and saying, if he gets injured, you're then looking at maybe a midfield of Arias, Bellegarde, and Andre Gomez, and then I just want a bit more from the wing backs, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Well, when I say I want more from my wing backs, I mean I want better delivery going into the box. But for them to be able to do that, we need to just support attacks better. Because as I said earlier on in the podcast, we're so isolated when we get the ball on a transition, and the attacks take so long to build that when the wing backs are in those areas, they're quite often doubled up on. Do you know what I mean? But I also just think that we lack the 1v1 skills to go
You
with.
wouldn't trust taking on, would you? Like, other than Rodrigo, you wouldn't back them to beat that one.
You know what? Like, I'm probably the one that goes against the Grail, and even Rodrigo, I'm not. I'm still not convinced. Like, I like him. I like his enthusiasm. I like his desire to go and press the ball. But to me, he looks like a cameo player. He really does. Like, you chuck him on at the end of the game, and he's going to go and get a tired legs. He got into situations on Saturday, and unless he was able to quickly, literally just touch it at his feet and deliver, he just doesn't have the quality. Like, if you honestly sit there and reflect, whenever you saw Rodrigo Gomez really run at a man, do a step over, and beat a player convincingly, like, you don't see it. He's really good in a transition or running into open space. That's when Rodrigo Gomez is at his best. Saturday, like I said, he had a few moments where he's literally just simple, old fashioned, knocks it out of his feet and tried to whip a ball in. Other than that, I don't think he's got too much to be a player that isn't predictable. He's not an unpredictable player.
I think it's sometimes when he gets to cut in from the left, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
he's-
I don't think his delivery's bad either. Like, his delivery's not horrendous, but he's one of those that again would thrive if he's linking up with somebody. That's when he attacks that space really well. He's positive. He's really good at. I think a lot of his goals have been like following up as well. Like, an attack will happen, someone will have a shot, and he's first to react. He's instinctive. Do you know what I mean? And he's got that enthusiasm to want to go and attack. But if you're asking him to make something out of nothing, if you're asking him to go and create for a 1v1, I don't see it too much. I'd love to see a change in system where we potentially go back to like a not nothing drastic, because I don't think we're set up to really play a 4, but you get Pedro Lima out wide, and then you've got maybe the 3 up front, so striker, 2 wingers, and then you've got a Lima and a Gomez that can go and attack. Maybe it is that you put, I don't know, your Mane or your Armstrong up there with Tolu off the left, and they plays like unorthodox 7 and 9 kind of hybrid, where they're playing that pocket. But then you've got your 2 players out on the opposite side that are really going to go and stretch the pitch and play. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
It'll be interesting, but I do feel because we lack the 1v1 skills, you've then got to go and commit more players. That's the side effect of it.
Can't commit to beat a 1v1, so they seem to tend to make that extra pass, and then when it comes back to them, because they're panicking and not that confident, it ends up going back, doesn't he?
Yeah,
And it goes back again.
And then the teams sit in, don't they? They're then back in a structured shape, and then you lose the momentum of the attack. You've either got to have a player that's really sort of dynamic and creative and will create something out of nothing, like you Mateus Cunhas, like you Diogo Jota was more of a bully, right? But he would go and attack a fullback or a centre half, fearless. Those types of characters, or you have players that are out there and they've got support around them, and you can interlink and double up and create 2v2s, or do you know what I mean? Find space for a spare man to go and overlap and have that then pocket of space to go and deliver a ball without the pressure and of a defender trying to block the cross. So it just depends how you set up, and it makes a massive difference. And I don't think people realise sometimes like you're in the stadium and you're watching people and you just hear forward, and it's just like, what are we playing forward to? At the moment, there's nothing to play forward to. At the moment, we play forward and there's one player, you lose the ball. What then? It's just going to keep coming back. It's finding that balance, isn't it? It's kind of balancing the setup and the system of the team based off the characteristics that they've got, and then also managing the game so that it doesn't become a transitional basketball game. Because if it does, then I fear that we're in trouble, because I don't feel like we're great at defending transitions personally. So yeah,
I think that as well, if he was a striker like Tolu now, if that ball doesn't come into the box, because say like Hugo Benno's out wide, he's taking 2 or 3 step overs every time. I don't know when he doesn't seem to know when to time his run to go to the front post or time his run to the back post, because I don't think even he knows when that ball's going to be coming in. That's also going to play on Tolu's mind, isn't it, when he makes those runs? And when he does make those runs, sometimes you look at when that ball does get to him, sometimes he doesn't seem ready for that ball to come in because I don't think he's expecting it. I know that Dan mentioned earlier that I was a bit frustrated with Tolu's, not performance, but with his efforts on goal. But at the same time, sometimes I do feel a little bit sorry for him because I feel like when we haven't got the ball, he has to sit in a little bit deeper. So if we're breaking super quick and the ball gets out to Mane and he's running through, I think Tolu struggles to get back in there, and really that's where you want your striker to be straight away. So my question would be, I don't know if he needs to be that deep to try and... He's not going to beat tackle a man. He's not going to intercept a pass. I don't think he needs to sit on that centre mid as much as what sometimes he does do to try and help his game out to get in the box ready for when Mane does spring into the attack, like you say, at times. When that ball's coming in there, we haven't even got anyone in there, never mind having Tolu in there. And I think if we can smarten up on these things, I think we can give it another good go at the end of the season.
100%. And again, like, I know I've just touched on it and I'm rambling on a bit now, but the movement around Tolu and for Tolu has completely changed now. Like, if you look at him in the cup when he scored a few goals, the brace, did he score a brace against Everton? Yeah, and if you look at those goals, it was, we didn't play into him. Like, we're heavily reliant now on playing early into Tolu and him holding up and then playing off him, right? When he scored his goals, if you picked up on it, like, he's had the space to go and run into. Whereas now it's like he has so much to do. It's untrue. If we don't play, in my opinion, if we don't play off Tolu at this moment in time, we don't really create a fat lot. All the good things that we create comes from Tolu holding the ball up, chesting it down, bringing players into play. And when we don't do that, we don't attack half as well. But for him, he's performed and he's scored when he's been able to attack that space in behind the back line. So, and if you look at his goals again before he came here, he's in the box, his movement's quite good, and he's scored all within the 18-yard box, really. I thought he was unlucky when the ball came in from the left-hand side. Defender slipped in front of him, and he's sort of swung his left foot because the ball's coming really quick. He's had to adjust because the defender slipped. Like, you can't really account for that. It's not like the ball was in the corridor between defender and goalkeeper and he's running and it's a clear strike. His view of it was blocked, and it's a really instinctive finish. And it's one of them where if he doesn't hit it as well, probably scores.
Yeah.
But he's hit it so clean that the keeper's made the save. Listen, I really appreciate what he does for the team. I'd love for him to be scoring a few more, and he should have scored more at the weekend. But there's a lot to like about him, and I think Wolves have got to do their utmost to keep hold of him because I feel like he would be a real threat next season.
Yeah.
And another player that we should be trying to build the team around.
Okay. So last and final question today. Rating of the January window 26. Nat, what do you give the score out of 10?
I'm gonna go with a 6, but the only reason I've bumped it up a little bit because the incomings haven't been great. Is the fact that we've managed to get value for money for the players that have left. Manetzi had to go. Would have preferred it to be a permanent, but him leaving was the right decision.
Yeah.
Fee for Strand Larsen, I thought was really good for us to get. For Lopez, I was disappointed that he went back to Spain because I would have liked him to have had a loan within our systems so that he's more sort of fitted to English football. And for me, it just strikes me as he's gone in the summer or he won't play for Wolves again, personally. But that's a little bit disappointing because I do think there's a player there. And then I look at it and I think Angel Gomez is a great signing. I'm just gutted that we didn't get a winger in for me. So I'll probably touch on the next question you're about to ask me. But yeah, I'd give it a 6, but it's a controversial 6. And you just have to understand the rationale behind it because some people look at it and go, how is you rated the transfer window 6? We brought in two players. One's Adam Armstrong. Like, I hear that on an income basis, not great. But when you kind of add the two together, I feel like they've done well with sales, not oversold too many players, but we could have bolstered a little bit more.
Yeah. If I was to rate it, I don't think we can go any higher than a 6. It's definitely not a 7, but I don't want to go the same number as you. I'd probably go a 5. I think that the talk, didn't they, before the window about, Rob was going to be backed. It was going to be the one that's going to set us off again, and we've learned from our mistakes. I didn't see much of that. But go back to the player that we've talked about before, Mehmeti going to Ipswich. There weren't even talks of him rejecting or Bristol City rejecting a deal from us or an offer. I feel like that, Matt Jackson's talked about having players ready to go for, but Vitor just didn't want to go for. But we haven't seen those links as much as what we must have been talking about, other than really Shay Adams that we're getting into every summer.
Oh, yeah.
But I do think the money for Strand Larsen, honestly, that is unbelievable business, because, like you say, if we keep until the end of the window, you're probably looking 2025 max, because I don't think he scores many goals till the end of the season. That is such a war chest going into the summer, isn't it, if we can make it count. Adam Armstrong, again, I think he's just one of those numbers that comes in to try and do a job in the Championship. Like you say, I was a bit more gutted for Fair Lopez going out, because if he was going to go, I'd rather just sell him and start again, because I don't know why you'd loan him out when I don't see where he's going to end up again next year, other than at Celta Vigo. But like you say, there was talks about him loaned out to a Championship club, and it didn't happen. That would have been perfect to get him set up, ready to go again in the summer.
Yeah, I understand that. There was a lot of talk around that, and the fact that Wolves are unhappy about his post, because he obviously put an Instagram post up with Homecoming by Kanye West and Celta Vigo stuff, and I definitely read somewhere that Wolves weren't going to sanction a loan to Celta Vigo because of the way that he'd handled that move. So I was really shocked when I then saw the here we go for a loan to Celta Vigo. It just kind of backfired on everything that they'd said. I do just want to drop in, and then I'll let you carry on, that I did see.
Fine.
I did see that we'd been in for quite a few players, like in terms of there was no names, but they'd made inquiries, and this came out in the fan forum as well. But players just weren't interested in joining us.
Yeah.
Which I do understand to a point, but it's how well you sell the club, isn't it? It's like I said before. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah, and like you say, if you can persuade a player to come knowing that full well you've got 1 year in the Championship, but 9 times out of 10 you're going to be pushing for the Premier League, How many times have we heard it where they just talk about what they're going to do next? Badou, I think that the value that we're getting for Badou, I think's decent money. There was talks of Jose Sá as well going to Forest, weren't there? I don't think I'd have been too against that deal going through. And like I say, Minetti going, I think that was absolute dead cert that needed to happen. I'd have locked a permanent move straight away, because it doesn't say that Paris are going to have to sign him. So yeah, other than that, I don't know what else to say about that window. I was a bit underwhelmed, I think. A bit underwhelmed, but like you say, no, they've got no excuse now, have they? Because they've got 6 months to get ready for the summer. So whoever is the manager, which I presume will be Rob Edwards, you'd think in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the window, they'll already know what players and talks will be going on with the players that they want to get in straight away to get that team ready for Edwards to get us back up. Like they say, he's got 1 year to get us up, so let's see if they do the business.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see sort of what policy they go for and how quickly they try and you'd have to imagine we're going to have some budget in the Championship. Personally speaking, I feel like Folkestone haven't really invested too much into the squad in terms of their own money. But if you look at the summer window this summer, we brought in 100 mil, around that figure, and we spent 100 mil. You're looking at it and you're thinking, well, we've sold Agbadu for 15 million, I think 70 million euros, so about 15 million. You sold Strand Larsen for potentially 48 mil, 43 at 5. So straight away you're looking at around 60 million. Your outlay on Armstrong was what, 9, so that drops you down to 50. You then go and sell Andre. You then go and sell Joe Gomez. Whoever else may leave out the team. You're looking at, you could potentially have about 150 million budget in the Championship. There is zero reason for Wolves not to be right up there at the top of the table and enticing football players to come to the football club, because I almost think that we'll be a more attractive proposition next season than we are now, in the sense of you're looking at it and you're thinking, if I join in the summer, I'm not going to have the hangover of a relegation. I'm not going to have a relegation on my CV. They're probably able to sell the club a little bit better by saying, listen, we're going to be right up there. We want to be back in the Premier League, and by the end of this season, we're going to give it a good go. You can attract players when that's your sort of vision, because it shouldn't just be we're going to get promoted and we're going to stop there. I'm pretty sure when they were bringing these players in, like your Ruben Neves is, do you know what I mean? Like your Diogo Jotas, it was, we're going to get promoted to the Premier League and we're going to go and attack it.
Yeah.
We need to get back to that mindset. Doesn't have to be on the same scale and signing the same world beaters, but go and sign players that want to be here. Might be a little bit raw, but they've got the right sort of characteristics, and you can bed it in with your experienced players. Because for all the good promise that we had in your Neveses, your Jotas, and all the young players that came in, you had your Steady Eddies of your Romain Saises, your Connor Codys, like Rui Patricio came in as an older head. Ryan Bennett was there as an experienced head. And it's about balancing all that together. The biggest thing we need to address is that front line still. Go and get hungry, exciting, dynamic players in those areas. And if you forward options going into the championship season are Tolio Kadore, Adam Armstrong, and then some wingers alongside it, I wouldn't be too put out by that at all. But they've got to get it right. And it's funny, Dan touched on it and he said there won't be as many as we think leave the football club. And I agree with him. I look at the team, and one, it'll be who wants the players. And two, like, you can't possibly sell like 10 players and rebuild that easily. People are going to want players in on the cheap. If this window, if I'm to praise them and judge them on anything, their ability to keep prices of players at the absolute maximum has been very good. I'd expect that to carry on in the Championship. Yeah. If someone wants a Ladislav Krejci, right, you're going to pay the fee that we paid. Otherwise, he's not coming. We're not throwing him out. And it should be the same for every single player.
I feel like if you lower it once, you'd get other teams thinking that you're just going to lower it again. So you need to stand firm.
I mean, I know they lowered it with Strand Larsen by 2 million, but it's 2 million. You're at a stage where you're thinking we're not going to get that fee again. It's minor. In the grand scheme of things, 2 million is minor. That's an agent fee in a transfer. It's nothing. These guys have got absolute pocket loads of money. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do. Part of me wants to be optimistic, but there's not too much to kind of back that up and push me in it at the same time. So like I said, I'll sit and I'll wait and I'll reserve judgment on their quotes of judge us on our actions, not our words. At this moment in time, the pressure should still be on. Support for the team should still be there, but there should still be pressure on the football club, and it should be still being heard, not through booing, potentially through chanting at times in the game, maybe selected times, because you don't want it to be detrimental to the performance, and the atmosphere has improved. It's again juggling it. When's the right time to do it? What's the right way to do it? And not lose support for the 11 out on the pitch and those in the dugout.
Yeah, should we leave it there, Nat?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
It's been a good one. I think we've done well to hold the fort. I think Dan will be impressed.
Hope so, and hopefully the viewers and listeners have enjoyed it, even though we've been humorless.
Like I say, mentioning Dan, I think we have to give a bit of a shout out to him because, you know, he does do a lot for the channel and a lot of work goes on behind the scenes. So Dan, you know, fair play for everything that you do for the channel. Again, this will be going out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, anywhere that you listen to it, have another listen, put feedback, comments into the chats, whatever we can improve on. I know a lot of them go onto YouTube. So yeah, thanks from me and Dan.
Yeah, until the next one.
Yeah.
See you later, guys.
Yeah. See ya.